Right. Well, hello everyone and welcome to 48 Now. It's digital host A.J. Wuest, and today I'm joined with Major General Jim Myles. Jim served for the U.S. Army for over 35 years, retired at the rank of Major General here in Huntsville, Alabama, as the Commanding General of the U.S. Army Aviation and Missile Command. Jim, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here with you, AJ.
Yes, sir. It's a pleasure. So first, General, I just want to ask, what first drew you in to the Army?
I'm so old that really what drew me in was the draft. And I was going to Middle Tennessee State University, and they had this thing called the ping pong draft is what they called it back in the day. They would draw ping pong balls, and they had it every day of the year, and they pulled it out. My number for September 4th was number 32. And I'm a sophomore at Middle Tennessee State University, and it said, you're 32. The 100th birthday is and below is usually the ones that will have to go into the Army. So I decided to go into ROTC program to come in as an officer instead of an enlisted soldier. Didn't know what it was until I actually found out I was going to go into the Army. Mm-hmm. So that's what drew me into the Army. Best decision I ever made.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And I want to talk about those initial years after you started. You started as an infantry platoon leader in the air assault.
Yep.
And how did that early experience shape your leadership?
That is a great question, because I would tell you it shaped everything I did for the rest of my life or time in the Army. Actually, in the rest of my life altogether. Being an infantry officer is you're at the tip of the spear. Everything else that's done in support, that's done in the Army, is done to support that soldier in the infantry or in the armor with tanks. And those are the forces that everybody is required to support. And so what I learned doing that was invaluable, because I understood whatever I was doing for flying in aviation or doing or logistics, it's about supporting the soldier on the ground. And it's a different perspective. And it's all about what you hold important. If you know what you're doing is going to take care of a soldier, you're doing the right thing. It may not be what somebody wants you to do, but you got to do the right thing.
Yes, sir. And I know those early assignments took you out to Panama, among other locations in the late 70s.
Yes.
What stands out from those early years in terms of lessons or challenges you faced?
Yeah, a couple things. I went to infantry officer, which was so very good, so beautiful, and to do and be experiencing. And then when I go to flight school here at Fort Rucker, Alabama, then I became an aviator to support the soldiers on the ground. And my first assignment was in Panama, of all things. And the canal zone was still the canal zone. We had not even turned over the zone to Panama until while I was there.
Wow.
And so understanding how to fly in an environment that is somewhat hostile, because when you fly in Panama and you get outside of where the built-up areas are, you're alone and unafraid by yourself. And there's unique missions that we would fly down there, and providing support to the jungle school was just a phenomenal thing. But it's all about understanding how you fly and what you need to do to fly that helicopter to support that soldier. And that's so important to what we do in the Army, because what we do in the Army is we fire and maneuver, or we maneuver and fire. And if you only respond or only talk about what you do on the ground, you can only maneuver till the next tree line that's dense, but you can't drive a tank through, or a river you can't have a tank or a truck or an Humvee or something cross. Army aviation, you can put soldiers in the back of the helicopter, and you can go. There are no boundaries. You can go behind the enemy line. You can go around them to the left. You can go around them to the right. In logistics, when you got to get something up the front line, or if you have to do a medevac for a soldier who's been wounded that needs to get out, then you can immediately go to those areas and extract them. There's no such thing as having limitations to being able to take care of a soldier on the ground. Unless the enemy has a vote, so. You fly at night, you fly low, you fly with goggles, you do unique things, night vision goggles, you do unique things to find a way to get to them. And that's what's wonderful about Army aviation. And we have a special bond with our warfighters on the ground that we never want to break, and we don't.
Right. Very well said. Yes, sir. And I know your final active duty role, Commanding General of the Aviation and Missile Life Cycle Management Command on Redstone Arsenal. What were the highs and lows of that command here in Huntsville?
Yeah, so it's a big long word for basically it says for anything that has to do with aviation, any unit around the world or any missile unit that's deployed around the world, if they need a part or they need logistic support, they need maintenance done, we were responsible for providing that to them. And so big responsibility because among all the things, just like right now that's happening in the Middle East, yes, missiles become very, very important. We're the ones responsible for providing the logistic support to the missiles. You got to have ammunition for missiles. So you got to make sure you got all the ammunition, you get in the right place at the right time so that you can always give them what they need. And same thing with the missiles themselves. And aviation's the same way. Those two areas are very, very important to our Army. And so yeah. AMCOM is responsible for that. So while we're going on having the fight over in Iraq and Afghanistan, I made many deployments over there. We all did to make sure that we saw on the ground what was needed, and then every month we would meet with the aviation units and the missile units that were deployed with the commanders, the full colonels, and I'd bring all the staff in to make sure they saw who it is we're supporting in the field, and it was, I called them my come to Jesus meetings. It was one of those things where we're going to close this gap about what we do, because what we do, if I had to measure the importance of what we do, not only at AMCOM, but what all the people that do on the arsenal, especially right now, if you're fighting in Iran or supporting the Iranian mission, I would put the value where, if I had to digitally place the importance of Huntsville to the fight, I'd probably put us somewhere on the other side of the isthmus probably around in Saudi Arabia, on the eastern coast of Saudi Arabia. That's the importance of us because of what we do, what goes on the arsenal every day. Mm-hmm. And just as a footnote, when I was the AMCOM commander, I was also the senior mission commander, and that's where I got to understand, because senior mission commander, if whatever you need on the arsenal, somebody's held accountable to make sure that whatever command is there or organization, NASA, Space and Missile Defense Command, Missile Defense Agency, BRAC, when you move in Army Material Command, just like right now, the senior mission commanders are responsible for Space Command, making sure that they have all they need to bring Space Command in. Mm-hmm. And also working with the community. What I got was a good picture of who else is out there with me on the left and the right here in Huntsville, and what goes on at Huntsville, and how important they are to our country. Yeah. It is amazing what we do on the arsenal to directly support the direction that our country is headed in, what our capabilities are. If our president wants us to find ways to take care of our needs, he has to have those capabilities. A lot of it's right here at Redstone Arsenal in the local area.
Yeah. And talk about just what it was like living on the arsenal.
Oh, yeah, it was very good for me because you're really close to work. Mm-hmm. And right. You don't go into work at 8 o'clock in the morning and go home at 5 o'clock at night. It starts early and you stay late. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, soldiers are working 24 hours a day. When you're doing combat ops around the world, you have to be operating in a 24-hour mentality. And so it was great to work closely to it. This local community supports an awful lot about what goes on for the arsenal in terms of people, where they live, and providing support to them, and schools. There's been wonderful collaboration with the local community to take care of our kids at school. Yeah, because they need it. So we don't have high schools on the arsenal, so they're all that is taken care of, and that's what's beautiful about this community. So, what's it like living on the arsenal? It's wonderful. I like to ride a bike, and it's the greatest place to ride a bike because there's no traffic at night for the most part. So it goes 10 miles to the south and 10 miles back, so you can get in your 20-mile ride when nobody else is on the road, which is good.
There you go. Absolutely. And General, you've earned numerous awards in your 36-year military career. You won the Humanitarian Service Medal. Can you share a story about a humanitarian or challenging operation that left a lasting impact?
Yeah, I can do that. This is one that's a pretty significant one, and a lot of people don't know it because it happened so long ago. But there was a U.S. congressman that that had a lot of constituents that had left the United States with a quote preacher called Jim Jones, and they took them all to another country down in South America, and they went to a place that what they called Jonestown. It was in Guyana, in the east coast of South America. And I'm flying in Panama, and I picked up a Special Forces Lieutenant Colonel, and he said, "Hey, Lieutenant Myles," that's what I was at the time. He said, "What are you doing this afternoon after you drop me off?" I said, "Sir, I'm going back to my house to be with my family." He says, "No, you're not. You're coming with me. And we're not going to my headquarters. We're going to the bunker." And so we go to the bunker, and I walk in, and it's nothing but a bunch of senior guys there having a conversation. And he says, and the colonel said, "Brief me." And they said, "Sir, right now we know there's 500 U.S. citizens that are dead. We know that the U.S. congressman is dead. We know that there at Jonestown there were a total of 900. We don't know if the 400 got in a fight with 500 and killed the congressman or what, but we need to go find out." Mm-hmm. And so the initial directive was go find out where the 400 were. I've got helicopters, and so my little small platoon goes with the Special Forces guys, and we go down there, and it becomes clear right off the bat. I was the first helicopter on site, and we came in, and you could see the number of people that were laying out in the field that were had their children drank the Kool-Aid, if you will, with cyanide in it, and then the parents laid on top of them, and there really weren't 400 that had left that killed the 500. There were 900 there. It was just the children had to drink the Kool-Aid first, and it was all about what they had done to this congressman, and the belief that someone had instilled in these people that there's a better place and this is the way to do it. And what I saw when I went down there was an incredible effort by our country to recognize there's 900 U.S. citizens somewhere else that had left on their own accord, but they died, and the United States stepped up and said, "We're going to bring them back the right way." And so we brought in a Army unit, and we all participated in this bringing them home, with putting them and doing what you do to put them in body bags and properly place them in the airplane and fly them to Dover, just like any soldier that's wounded or killed. They come through Dover, and just like right now, the 4 that were killed in the Middle East here this week, the 4 soldiers. There's going to be a ceremony conducted on the East Coast there in the Dover Air Force Base, and and the president will be there. Same thing here. All 900 came through Dover Air Force Base, proper respects paid to them. Cost a tremendous amount of money, but it didn't matter because these are U.S. personnel, and this is about treating them the right way. And so got back to Panama, and sure enough, they all those that went down there, they said, "We appreciate what you did," and they pinned a humanitarian award on me. Wow. That's how I got the award.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And what was it like just being there and seeing that? What was going through your head?
You would think there would be, everybody handles it differently. The unit that came in to do, they called them a graves registration unit, that came in to help. They understood how to bag the bodies. We helped. We unzipped the bags and helped with them, but they were the ones that actually did it. great kids, but they had there was two 747s that ran into each other on the ground in 2 weeks prior to that on the Canary Islands. And that same grades registration unit went there first, came back to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. A week later, they're sent to Panama or sent to Guyana to do this. That hit them hard. They were worn out, they were tired, and they saw a lot of people that had died, and they didn't see them in their best position. And so a lot of them were having some tough times there. And it was hard to see that for sure, because of just the loss of life and what they did. And they didn't know what they didn't know. And I felt, a lot of us felt especially bad for the children because they didn't have a vote. They couldn't decide. They just were there. And not good. It was difficult. But that's what you do as a soldier. You have a mission. I think that's what protected me more than anything else. If you're a soldier and you believe, and this is what I learned in the infantry, and I just left the infantry, it's mission first.
Yeah.
Don't think about yourself or anything else. Get the job done first, then we'll worry about you later. And so that's what I did. The one unique thing, I found out I was promoted. A certain day comes up when you're going to get promoted, and I got promoted in Jonestown, Guyana. So that's a unique thing that nobody else, I don't think nobody else in our country could ever say that happened. But I got made captain in the middle of a field.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
After retiring in 2010, what inspired you to start the Myles Associates or found the Myles Associates?
Yeah, it's I know it's not a surprise to anybody. If you've served 36 years in the Army, and the family does, it's not just me. My wife, we moved 21 times in 36 years. It's hard to get your arms around that number, but every year and a half, or that's the way it averaged out, we moved. And my wife had no vote in wherever we go. So it's not just soldiers that pay a price, it's the entire family. And it's in your blood. And when you see that you've been trying to help make a difference for a long time, it just doesn't go away. And my wife and I had a long talk about it, and we said this is the right place to be, because to where we can help provide support to soldiers. And that's what this my Myles Associates is all about. Yeah. It's about helping others understand what soldiers need and want, and helping companies provide to them what it is that's needed. And if I can help them break down barriers to do that, that's what I try to do. And it still allows me to participate. My LLC is also used so I can help do things off of the arsenal, and like I'm supporting the Chamber of Commerce and anything I do here locally for charities, et cetera. So,
well, sir, it's a very great cause. General, you mentioned Huntsville and the importance of Huntsville. How do you see its role evolving as a defense aerospace hub?
Well, first of all, I see us gaining even more importance than we had in the past. It is amazing. I thought we provided an incredible amount of support, and we were in a lot of different areas back in 2010. Mm-hmm. Since then, we've brought in the FBI, Army Materiel Command, Space Command is coming here. Missile Defense Agency has grown, and a lot of the agencies have grown. And it is hard for our country to do anything without calling area code 256. It really is, because something is needed, whether it's space ops. And as we become more digital, the space becomes more important in our world, and so does special operations, because now special operations, when they try to conduct combat operations, they're linked up with a lot of different agencies that are on the arsenal, because it's about information that you need that is gathered here and that is used in a collaborative way to support our missions and our nation's needs. It happens here behind the gate. And so it's so critical right now. Every day, let's just say there was nothing going on in Iran, and there was nothing going on in the Middle East, and there was nothing going on in the Pacific Ocean, you would still see people doing the what if drills. What should we be doing? You know, we just did this thing 2, 4, 6, 8 months ago. What did we learn from Iraq and Afghanistan in terms of stockpiles of our missiles? And what do we need tomorrow? Now you rubber sheet that over the top of that, current operations that, hey, this is the real thing. We were always, before this thing happened with Iran, we were talking about how do we face a near peer threat in China? And what is it that we need to be doing?
Yeah.
Who does that involve? It involves NASA Space Flight Center, or Marshall Space Flight Center. It involves MDA because it's about defending our homeland for missiles. It's about Space and Missile Defense Command that's responsible for making sure that we're protected. And they do very unique things, and it's about the PAE fires, used to be PO Missiles in Space. The guys responsible for providing defensive missile systems and now offensive missile systems, because missiles are really, really important. You look what's happening in Iran, it's a missile fight right now. And so all of that is happening. So who provides all the logistics support? It's about AMC, Army Material Command, providing all the missile support. All these THAAD missiles and the Patriot missiles, those are Army systems. Who's responsible for logistics support? It's Army Material Command. So and AMCOM is one of the subordinate units where they provide that support to it. And so then you talk about the fact we got to protect the homeland. What do you think? We got FBI right here on our site, and they have an operational center here. They have a TDAC organization here that's our counterpart to how to protect yourself against explosives. Well, if somebody wants to do something to our homeland, you'll probably find some explosive things happening. What do you think's happening inside the FBI to try and prevent it? We're talking about it here. Now, there's FBI is in the National Command region, and the missiles aren't necessarily made on the arsenal, although we do have some missiles being made on the arsenal. But for the most part, they're outside in other parts of the United States. So the command and control of all this, it's all about what we do on the arsenal to make sure that our country is protected. So that's what's happening outside the arsenal. Now, I would tell you, there's 44,000 people that work on the arsenal every single day. 44,000 people don't live on the arsenal. They all come from this great community. And we could not do what we do in the military without our partners in the civilian sector. It just wouldn't happen. And it's not just civilians that work inside of the buildings with Army Material Command or Space Command when they come in. We'll have civilians there, or at my old unit AMCOM. It's also the industry that's out here. McDonald's, or not, it's Boeing, it's Northrop, it's Lockheed, it's Raytheon, it's a whole set of smaller companies that do incredible work outside of this arsenal that are directly related to and have a relationship with the people on the arsenal to help them understand. Tell me what you need, Mr. 3-star Lieutenant General Lozano, and he tells them. And this is about the ballet of understanding what the no-kidding needs are and what these organizations outside the companies outside of the gate can do to help solve their issues and provide it. In a lot of cases, it's weapon systems we already have that we now have to modify. Yeah. And in some cases, it's brand new weapon systems. It's about how do you infuse AI inside of current systems. And so this workforce out here, the people in this community are incredible. They are, their knowledge of how to do business and their desire to make a difference is incredible. I love this community. This is one of the unique communities that cares more about others than themselves. And then we have found a way in a lot of cases to rubber sheet over the top of them STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And what we do is that's the perfect person to work in this community here. And it takes a lot of people of different backgrounds to support. This community is special. It just is.
And with everything that's happening with Iran right now, how does that directly impact you and Myles Associates?
It it um, it it makes you work a little longer because there's needs that are happening, and you're
Yeah.
helping connect the dots. And there's some things that I do that are directly related to helping people that are working on the arsenal now.
Yeah.
Haven't just from having hit my head on a lot of 2x4s, it's picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, this is what's happening on airworthiness of aircraft. Have you thought about this?" Or and then if you remember back to what we did in Iraq, if I remember back to what we did in support of aviation and in missiles for Iraq and Afghanistan, there's some lessons learned that you got that if you're not careful, you'll relearn those lessons. And if we can, a lot of us are out like that out here in the retired area. If we can keep the current guys from hitting their head on as many 2x4s as we did, that's a good day. It just is. So,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Absolutely. Looking back, what's one piece of advice you'd give your younger self?
That I give my younger self? That's a great question. My wife says it best. She says, Jim, you think with your lips. And she says, the good news is everybody knows what you're thinking. The bad news is sometimes you say stuff you shouldn't say. So be careful about that. And the other one is quit trying to bend metal. When you desire to get something done so much, you will bend metal if you have to, and you try to find ways to just make something work. And in some cases, you will try to force something to happen that is not going to happen. And in some cases, if you're in a senior leader position, not only are you taking your eye off the ball, but everybody else is, because they're trying to take care of what the general is or the senior leader is doing, trying to help support him. And if his vision is off, then you can lose your whole command. So what does that mean? Most important thing senior leaders do is have a vision, a clear vision, and spend the time to have a vision. I would say that's for everybody, no matter where you are, whether you're 18 years old or whether you're 65 years old. The idea is have a vision for what you do, who you are, and then have a plan that you can execute that vision. Second most important thing senior leaders do, and anybody that has people work for them, is hire the right people. You got to hire, because that's important. If you don't know who to hire, you're not going to be successful.
Right.
And the third most important thing senior leaders do is lead people. I don't care if you're making slide rules for a bunch of engineers sitting in a corner. At the end of the day, somebody's got to do it. Somebody has to pull it together and make it happen. And this is a people business. So hire them and lead them. And the other thing is the other thing I learned along the way is fear is the biggest thing that holds us back in our life. Sometimes as you move up, fear of failure gets into the way, and also fear of success, and fear of holding on to what your successes have been that may prevent you from being as aggressive as you need to be if you're still on active duty or doing whatever. And so fear is an enabler that holds you back. Yeah. And that's important. And the other thing I would tell you is when your lack of a decision is a decision. If you're afraid of making a decision and you don't make that decision, you miss an opportunity to do what you're supposed to be doing. You got to pull the trigger when you have to pull the trigger. You just do. And if you don't, it will come back to you a bazillion times. The other thing I would tell you, sorry, I'm going on.
No, this is great.
The other thing I would tell you is when you make a mistake, own it, speak up, and own it, because whoever works for you, if you think when you finally realize you made a mistake, you're not the first one to realize you made a mistake. A lot of times it's the people that work for you that know you made a mistake before you really see that you did.
Right.
So if you raise your hand and say, hey, you know what, I messed up. I hosed this thing up. You know what happens? Your credibility actually goes up because your team is concerned that your boss doesn't see it, but if they do know that you saw it, that you're hosed up, it's like, okay, he's all right. Now, if you stand up in front of your people 7 times in one day and say, you know what, I hosed it up, I made a mistake, you probably shouldn't be the leader of that organization. You probably shouldn't. You ought to be doing something else. But yeah.
Right. Well, very well said. That is incredible advice right there. But General Myles, that's all the questions I have for you. If maybe I didn't ask something you'd like to further add, please feel free. But thank you so much for coming in today.
No, AJ, thanks. I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you today. What you guys do is so important to this community. Communications, the truth in communications, how you say what you say and when you do and what do you do, what you hold as important is really, really important for this community. And you guys provide a very, very important role in this thing. All you got to do is remember back to 2011 when we had the tornadoes that came through and we lost all the power. The people that kept us together was the radio stations and the TV stations that couldn't even transmit, but you were communicating with us, and it was all about finding out where's your brother, where's your sister, are everybody alive, and it's about sharing knowledge, and the way to do that is through communication. So I'm very much appreciative of what you guys do.
Yes, sir. And likewise.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so